Hello. It's good to see you. Today we're going to do something a little different. I thought it would be fun to do a video where I will pronounce certain words for you, and I've just made a little list here, just as I thought of them. They're not in any particular order or anything. Just trying to explain the pronunciation of words from my dialect, the way I speak, the way I grew up pronouncing things. Now, I grew up in central North Carolina, and even in the area where I grew up, not everybody pronounced things the same. And that's one thing that surprised me when I started this channel 6 years ago, was to learn how many people were very ignorant about accents, and how many people apparently believe that there's one Southern accent, and if you don't talk like Foghorn Leghorn, then it's not real. Well, the South covers a big area, and we have a bunch of different accents. I mean, it's true. Anywhere you go, you have any size of an area, you travel a little bit away from there and you're going to notice changes. I've always been kind of interested in that sort of thing, linguistics, just fascinating stuff. But I was accused several times when I started this channel of being fake, of, faking a Southern accent, because, you don't pronounce this way and you don't pronounce it that way. So you're slipping up. You need to study a little more before you try to fake an accent like that. Well, if I've been faking it for over 40 years. So, no, it's not fake. But it does come from a certain part of the world. And it kind of makes me sad to see that, the younger generations are losing that. And it's not just here. I think it's everywhere. And I think it's the internet. I mean, my kids don't sound like me. I mean, I know you can hear certain things that they say will sound. You can go, oh, somebody from the South raised that kid. But for the most part, they don't sound like me at all. And I think it's exposure to the internet. I really do. YouTube and stuff like that, and, just hearing people from all over. I really think that impacts it. So I thought, well, why not just document it while you can? I mean, because one day there may not be anybody left with an accent like mine. And, well, you got my generation, but really, after that, it's going to get harder and harder to find people who talk like this. Not that my accent is all that special, but in a way, we all have a special accent if you think about it. I mean, probably, depending on where you are, if you look at it worldwide, there probably aren't a lot of people who talk like you. And even if you don't like the way you talk, that's still kind of cool. I think it's cool anyway. To me, my accent is like a warm, fuzzy sweater. And I have on long sleeves this evening. I got chilly. Right before I sat down here, I got cold. I don't know why. This time of year that happens to me. It was a little chilly this morning, and on over in the evening it cooled off some more, and I think it had cooled off in here a little bit, but not enough for the air conditioner to not kick on. And the air came on, and all of a sudden I was just cold. So I put on some sleeves and bumped the air up a little bit. So anyway, but before I do that, I was sitting in the drive-thru at Taco Bell earlier today. And this just popped into my mind, and I don't know why. And I thought, have I ever told them where hello, it's good to see you came from? There's actually a story behind that. And my accent may be a little bit pronounced because I have been pronouncing words over and over again, and I've become very self-conscious of the way I talk. And when I get like that, it tends to get exaggerated. So it may be a little bit exaggerated. But there's a story to it, and I wanted to tell you that. If I've told you before, I'm going to tell you again. It's short, though. This all goes back to maybe a month or so before I started my channel. A month or two. So this would have been May or June of 2015. And I wasn't feeling great. I was very depressed. I get that way sometimes. Sometimes I just deal with a bit of depression and anxiety, and it's a lot of fun when you get both at the same time. Sometimes they take turns, and sometimes you get them both at the same time. But I was not feeling too great. And Glenda the Good Witch and I were still together. We were still married at that point. And he had a friend that owns a restaurant. And we went there for dinner one night, and we hadn't been there in a while, and we hadn't seen him in a while. Well, he happened to be there when we stopped by, and I still remember where I was sitting in the restaurant. I still remember looking up. He came walking by, and he saw us, and he stopped. And, you know, they said hello, and then he looked at me. He looked right at me and said, "Hello, it's good to see you." And something about that moment of him saying that, it was exactly what I needed to hear. I realized he was just saying, hey, but for some reason, those words were just like nourishment to my soul. And I almost teared up. I was so grateful. I don't know what it was about that little moment. It felt good to be seen. It felt good to be, you know, like, hey, I see you. I'm glad you're here. It's good to see you. And that just stuck with me. And I remember the way it made me feel. It made me feel so happy and so good. It really lifted my spirits that night, and I never forgot it. I haven't really seen him since then, though. I should tell him that. He would probably like to know that. If I see him again, I'll tell him. But when I made my first video not too long after that, I didn't really plan in advance what I was going to say at the beginning of the video. It just kind of naturally came out. It was like, it was so obvious that's what I was going to say, because I knew how it made me feel. And it just seemed like the perfect thing to say. So I said it, and I just kind of stuck with it ever since. And now I've said it over 2,500 times in different videos. And although it's funny, when I make videos out and about, I always say hey instead of hello. I don't know why that is. It feels a little more informal, I guess. It's like I run into somebody in the store, I would say hey, you know. But that's where it came from. And what I want to convey to you when I say that, every time I say it, I mean it. It is good to see you. And I know, you know, I don't just mean here, and I realize I can't literally see you. But it is good to have you here, and not just here watching the video. I'm glad that you're alive. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're you. And I'm always glad to see you. And I hope you keep coming back. And I hope you can smile and feel good, even if it's just for a little bit. Because we all go through rough times, good times, stressful times, scary times. You know, that's one thing that we all have in common. We all have a lot in common. Sometimes I think we forget that. As human beings, we do have a lot in common. And I try to convey to you in every video how glad I am that you are here. And not just watching the video, but here on this earth. I'm glad you're here. And I hope you're doing well. So I just wanted to tell you that little story. It didn't really have anything to do with this, but I thought about it, and I thought, you need to do that. I don't think you've ever done that. And I said, I don't believe I have. Well, now I have. And if I've done it before, well, I told you again. So I wanted to go through this list of words, and they were just random. I even drew arrows and stuff because I thought, well, this kind of relates to that. So you need to kind of hook them together. And I will show you how I pronounce these words, because people try, and there's a loud motorbike. Hang on. His mama didn't hug him enough. He's gone now. No, he's not. Bless his heart. He wants somebody to notice him too. I was just downstairs before I came up here to start this video, and the cats wanted their treat. If I don't give them a treat before I start this video, they all three come up here and mess around the door. They'll go outside my door and wrestle with one another and thump up against the door. If I give them treats, they don't do it. They love when I make videos at night because I give them treats, and now there's a siren. Maybe he was going after the personal motorcycle. I don't know. And anyway, so I went into the cabinet to get the treats out. They like, I think they're called Temptations treats, and they come in these little bags, and you can get different flavors. So I'll just shake some out in my hand and give them each a little, and then they're fine. They'll just go lay down and go to sleep. But they have to have their treat, or they won't give me any peace. But while I was in the cabinet, I happened to spot some items. I brought 4 things up here, and I wanted to pronounce them for you. Because a lot of people, and I ran into this a lot when I lived in Illinois, people were just fascinated by the way I talked. And some people would try to imitate words and phrases that I would use. And I would have to just literally show them you have to make the sound. You have to be able to move your mouth a certain way. I remember when I took French in high school for 3 years, there was a lot of that. Our teacher would try to show us how to pronounce these sounds, and it was fascinating. I've always thought stuff like that was interesting. But I wanted to show you these items, and I want to pronounce these things for you. The first thing is the word items, and I think I wrote that down. I started to, and then I marked it out because I knew I would remember it when I started talking about items. I-T-E-M-S. Items. Items. Now, here's a big difference. If you go up into the mountains in Virginia where my dad lives, they say items. Items. But we don't say that where I come from. We say items. It's almost, I'm going to exaggerate it. Items. 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 There's almost an ah, but it's quick. It's right at the beginning. Items. Item. Item. Items. It's kind of like when I was learning French, we would start out pronouncing it slowly, and then once you get it down, you can kind of speed it up a little bit. Items. Okay, let's see. One of the items I spotted is this one. Cat. C-A-T. Cat. We do like to take 1-syllable words and turn it into 2. Cat. Cat. Now, it's not exaggerated that much, but it's cat. Cat. It's almost a Y in there. Cat. Cat. Crack. I guess we drag out that A a little bit. Crack. Crack. Cat. Crack. It's a funny thing is, it's this fancy schmancy catnip. It's supposed your cats are supposed to love it. My cats took one sniff of it and just kind of went, ew. They didn't like it. But you can get this little baggie of catnip at Walmart for I think it's $2. They go crazy over it. Now it's not as, you don't get this much. They love it. I forget how much this was. It was kind of expensive, I thought. Oh, there's the word Canada. Can. C-A-N. Can. Can. It's almost like C-A-Y-A-N. K. Can. 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 The only time you would really pronounce it like that would be if you were really trying to emphasize something. Like you were really trying to say yes, yes. We like to put a Y in there, and it gives you a little break, and that way you can make it into a 2-syllable word. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And you just take that can and you add an ada to it. Canada. Canada. I work with somebody from Canada. I don't know what he thinks of my accent. It's nothing like his, I'll tell you that. But yeah, this is 1 cup of cat crack. Cat. You have to kind of do like that. Cat. And you don't really emphasize the T very much. Cat. I mean, it's kind of there, but you don't emphasize it. Cat crack. Cat crack. Which now just takes up space in my cabinet because my cats don't like it. Cabinet. It's like C-A-B-N-E-T. Cabinet. And this item in particular is one of my new favorite things from Aldi. We just take out the L and replace it with the W. Aldi. And we will talk about L's in a minute because there's another word in particular that several people love the way I said it when I lived in Illinois, and it involves an L. See, there's a W. It's almost like a speech impediment, but it's part of my accent. L. A. So you start out making this sound, A, and then you just basically kind of push your lips, squish your lips together. You don't change the sound that you're making. You just change the position of your lips. You just kind of bring them in a little bit. L. Aldi. So it's not really a change in the pronunciation. It's just a change in the way your mouth is shaped. Aldi. And I know in other parts of the world it's pronounced differently, but that's how it's pronounced in the USA. This is one of my new favorite things from Aldi. Pineapple. Pie. And if you were saying P-I-E, it would be pie. That I sound, you're going to hear a lot in my dialect. You know, when I'm talking about myself, it's I. Pie. Pineapple. So you're just going, oh, pineapple. And I love this pineapple salsa. It's like S-A-W-S-A. Salsa. Pineapple salsa. Love this stuff. It's so good. Now in my Aldi, they have this with the regular salsa, and they have other flavors as well, but this pineapple is my favorite. It's so good. I love it. And the good thing is, nobody else here really likes it, so I get it all to myself. It's sweet. It has a bit of sweetness to it. It has pineapple in it, and I love it. I stock up on it. It's very mild. So you make this sound ma, and then you just close your mouth a little bit, and then a D comes out. That's what she said. Mild. It's like M-A-O-U-W-D. Mild. You do hear that I sound a lot. Mild. We don't pronounce the L like you might be used to. It's not mild. See, that hurts my mouth. I sprained my tongue. Mild. It's mild. That loud car agrees with me. Mild. Anyway. Small. Here's a word. Small. Anytime you have an L in a word, when it comes to my accent, it almost sounds like a W. Small. And it's not because I have a speech impediment. I don't. Although it's hard. If you have a speech impediment, it can be difficult. My mother, when she was small, when she was a child, had a speech impediment similar to the one Barbara Walters has dealt with, and you kind of hear sometimes. It was very similar to that. And she, they never, back then, they didn't really do anything. If you had a speech impediment, you just got picked on a lot. They didn't really treat it or, they didn't have speech therapy. I mean, I guess unless your parents had a lot of money, I mean, maybe then they would, but there was no therapy for her. But she just tried her best to, deal with it. But she got picked on a lot because she had a speech impediment. which didn't help matters any. Small. So it's small. Small. You don't change the sound that's coming out of here. It stays the same. You just go small. Small. And you have to practice a little bit, I guess. Small. Oh, I can remember sitting with words and practicing my French pronunciation. I did, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved it. I really did. So this is mild, small batch, pineapple, salsa. Salsa. It's like S-A-W. Salsa. Salsa. Pineapple salsa. And every time I go, I get 3 or 4 jars of this stuff because about half the time I go, they don't have any. And I'm always afraid they're going to do away with it, so I stock up on it. I love this stuff. It's so good. That's about my only guilty pleasure I have left. I went to the farmer's market earlier today to get some tomatoes, and I wasn't paying attention, and I went to grab one, and I saw an insect on me, and for a second I thought it was a fly, and I went to smack at it. I saw it crawling up here. It was a yellow jacket. Fortunately, I realized it was a yellow jacket in time to not smack him and have him sting me 40 times on the hand. I just lightly brushed him off. Off. That's still a 1-syllable word, but barely. Off. He just get off me. Yellow jacket. What else do I have? I have this. Now, I think this stuff is Vile. V-I-L-E. Vile. It's Vile. My older son loves this stuff, though. Dinty. D-I-N-T-Y. Dinty Moore. Denny. Well, if I'm saying it for real, I'm going to say Denny Moore. Denny Moore. Denny Mower. There's a lot of W sounds. Denny Mower. Denny Mower. Chicken and dumplings. Denny Mower. Chicken and dumplings. It makes the most disgusting sound when you go to pour it out of the can. It has a nice pop top to it. But he'll pop the top off and he'll go, and it makes this horrible suction sound like boots in mud. I said, ooh, that's some health food right there. They even show you on the back how to make a chicken and dumpling pot pie. Even better. Yeah, you have to get a pie crust and some chopped parsley. And you can make a pot pie out of this here. I guess this is your filling for the pot pie. Pot. That's about a 2-syllable word. Pot. Pie. Pie. It's almost like the word eye. Like eyeball. My eyeball. Ball. B-O-W-L. I don't think I wrote down bowl. Bowl. It's different from B-A-L-L, which is ball. Ball and bowl. The ball sound is going to bring, feels like it brings your lips out wider. Ball. And you open your mouth a little bit more. Ball. Bow. Or bowl. Bowl. So that is Denny Moore, and I'm going to put this down because it's heavy. Denny Moore, chicken and dumplings. This thing weighs over 1 pound. I don't like it, but he does. Sometimes when he comes home from school, he'll eat some of that. Okay, now the next thing is for a video that I hope to do on Thursday. And I had to go pick this up today. And this is what my mom told me to get. This is what you're supposed to use. I didn't know. Look at this big old bag. This is corn meal. C-O-R-N, corn. So it does kind of become a two-syllable word, corn meal. Martha White. White. Now I am emphasizing it as you don't normally drag it out like that, but now if you go up to where my dad lives in Virginia up in the mountains, it will be pronounced White. Martha White. But down where I grew up, it's White. Martha White. Now, if you were to just look at a map of the United States, you would go, well, those two areas are not that far apart. Surely they don't sound all that different. Well, they do. They really do. There are quite a few things up there that they say very differently than they do where I grew up. Now, these two areas are, I'd say maybe 200 miles apart. But that's more than enough. I mean, you know, wow, if you go, like if you go from here to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, you find, and there aren't many people that do it anymore, but you can hear a certain dialect called the Outer Banks brogue. And it's beautiful. I love it. But it's nothing like the way I talk, because they were influenced by ships, you know, coming in from all over, you know, not around here. People coming in from all over with all different kinds of accents and, you know, manners of speaking. So you end up with the Outer Banks brogue, which sadly is dying out, and there are fewer and fewer people that have, you know, speak in Outer Banks brogue. But you can find some videos on YouTube of Outer Banks brogue, and you can hear it, and it's really kind of musical. Honestly, I think it's really very nice. I like it. I've been to the Outer Banks, and I've gotten to hear people talk like that, and I like it. I think it's cool. But so I'm saying, you don't have to go far to find different dialects. I mean, it's, you know, you don't have to go very far at all. I mean, shoot. It's like saying, you know, everybody in New York State talks like people in New York City, or saying that everybody in New York City sounds the same. Well, they certainly don't. You can find people who sound very, very different in different parts, you know, of just that little area. But I guess as we get more connected, you know, online and stuff, I guess a lot of that starts to fade away, which I think is sad. This joker's heavy. This is 5 pounds. We're going to be making cornbread, but we're going to be making it the way my mom used to make it. My mom doesn't really cook or bake anymore, but we're going to make her cornbread. And she said you need to use self-rising cornmeal. Martha White self-rising cornmeal with hot rise. I don't know what hot rise is, but I remember this being on the bags when I was a kid. Now that's another difference, and we'll explain that in the video where you make cornbread. Cornbread. Bread becomes a 2-syllable word as well. The part of the world where I grew up, you do not put sugar in your cornbread. However, interesting thing is, up here where Glenda the Good Witch grew up, they do put sugar in the cornbread. In different areas, they do it differently, but around where I grew up, I didn't know a soul that put sugar in cornbread. I didn't know that was a thing that anybody did. And it was kind of funny. The first time I ever had cornbread with sugar in it was in a restaurant when I was an adult. We have an issue with L's. But again, it's not a speech impediment. If you heard other people talking where I grew up, they say it the same way. First time I ever had cornbread in a restaurant, I forget where it was. It might have been in Asheboro, which is about 30 miles south of here. And I took one bite of that cornbread, and I about said it out loud. Somebody messed up the cornbread. I know I made a face. Why is it sweet? I couldn't eat it. It just tasted like, who got the sugar and the salt mixed up? Why is this sweet? It's not supposed to be sweet. No. And you make it in a cast iron frying pan. And that's how we're going to do it. I had to borrow a pan because I don't really ever make it. I borrowed a frying pan and we're going to make cornbread the way my mom used to make it with this Martha White self-rising cornmeal. It's bolted, B-O-L-T-E-D, bolted white, enriched. So yeah, for a word like this, like light, white, right, there's sprite, there's an I in there, and I'm exaggerating, but bright, white, sprite, anything with I-T-E, I-G-H-T, it's "ite," but not everywhere. Now there, like where my dad lives, it would be bright or white or sprite. And it's funny too, up where my dad lives, when they say the word flowers, they pronounce it flares. And in the context in which I first heard it, it really confused me. This was years ago. And my dad's previous wife, my stepmother, she passed away about 6 years ago now. It's very sad. It was very sudden. It was one of the first times I had ever been to see them, and it was on a weekend. And she said, we need to pick up the flares for church. We need to make sure we have the flares to take in and put on the altar at church. And I thought, what kind of church do they go to? They need flares. What kind of services? I didn't say anything, but I'm sitting there like, because I didn't really know her. I didn't really know a lot about her. And I thought, what in the world goes on at that church? What kind of, they do snake handling? What are they doing there? She was saying flowers. And fortunately, I figured it out in the context of what the conversation that came after that. I realized she was saying flowers, but they pronounce it flares. It's really weird. I'd never heard anybody pronounce it flares before. But also where I grew up, a lot of the older people I've noticed, and I noticed this even when I was young, when they say my name, they don't say Mary, they say Mary. Mary. And they about drop the Y. Mary. Mary. I just grew up hearing it. Mary. Okay, I'm going to get to my list here. Lord, I'll talk all night. Okay, so I'll go through my list. Now, the one I have at the beginning is the one that people ask me the most, and this was when I lived in Illinois. This was the one people wanted me to help them learn how to pronounce. Y'all. Y'all. And honestly, if you didn't grow up around it, it might be kind of hard to pick it all up. I don't know. It hurts when you hear them do a southern accent in a movie because they all sound like Foghorn Leghorn. They do. It's just embarrassing. Y'all. First of all, it's spelled Y apostrophe A-L-L. And it's short for you all. You all. It's not Y-A apostrophe L-L. It's Y apostrophe A-L-L. Like that. Yeah, I think I meant to say Y-A apostrophe L-L is incorrect. It is Y apostrophe A-L-L. It's not that hard. I think people overthink it sometimes. It's not hard. You start out like this. You're going to kind of have a smile when you say it. It's like the letter E, basically. Yow. Yow. You just go yow. You make that ah sound, and again, you don't change it. You just keep that ah sound and just make your lips into an O, basically yow. 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 You don't really pronounce the L like you might be used to. It's like Y-A-W, yow, yow, and that's it. That's all you gotta do. It's just yow. And if you're talking, you would never use the word yow if you're talking to one person and you're not referring to anyone else. And this is a mistake. I've seen this in movies. If I'm just talking to you, I would not say, how are y'all doing? unless it is implied that I mean you and at least one other person. Like if you were dating someone and you mentioned, oh, I'm dating so and so, I'd say, oh, how are y'all doing? I would never say y'all if I'm just talking to you about you. And if you're talking about a big group, you might call them all, you might say all of y'all. All of y'all come on. And I have to do that at the family reunion every year. I have to get on the microphone. I have this little portable speaker because they can't hear me. Half of them just don't listen. I gotta yell at them and I don't want to hurt my voice. So I take a portable speaker with a microphone. And I say, all of y'all come on. It's time to eat. All of y'all come on. We gotta ask the blessing. And I know it sounds like ask the blessing, and that's always made me giggle since I was a kid. But you typically, if you're at a family reunion in the South, you ask the blessing. You might have a preacher there. Usually you have a designated person that does it. Fortunately, we have a couple of preachers in the family, and at least one of them can do it. So you got to ask the blessing. So all of y'all come on. We got to ask the blessing. And I try to just not think about the fact that it sounds like ass, and it's not funny, but I'm usually looking right at the preacher and saying ass, and it just messes up something in my brain. Okay. So y'all, that's an easy one. But don't ever use it if you're just talking to one person about one person, because that is not correct. And if you're talking to a Southerner and you do that, it's going to irritate them. But we were raised to be polite, and we won't say anything. We'll just smile and think it. Okay. You, Y-O-U. It's going to sound like Y-E-W. You. It starts out the same as y'all. You get that E sound. But you don't go ow. You go you. So it's like like you pursing your lips a little bit. You. That's an easy one. Okay, now this word right here, this killed me when I lived in Illinois. People thought this was funny. I don't know why. B-U-I-L-D-I-N-G. Building. That's how you say it where I come from. Building. You're going to make that E sound. Building. And you drop the G. The G just disappears. We don't worry about the G. Building. And people thought that was just the cutest thing. Building. And another L word would be rail. R-A-I-L. Rail. Railroad. I gotta mark these off as I go. Building. Rail. You turn it into a 2-syllable word. Rail. And again, that sounds like a Y. Railroad. And then another one with an L at the end would be S-A-N-D-A-L. Sandal. And you just run it all together. Sandal. I got my sandals on. Sandal. Wah. Sandal. It's sandal. And then another one. This one I like. It's like building, but it's B-I-L-L. Bill. I got a bill in the mail for $100. I got a very confusing bill in the mail the other day from the HVAC folks. They were going to come out and do the little tune-up thing on my heater. And the bill said I owed them $120. But at the top of the bill, it said I had a negative balance of $200. So I had to call them about my bill. And I said, this is confusing. Do I owe you this money, or do I have a credit? They said, well, you have credit. I said, well, your bill is confusing. Because it looked like I owed you money, but then it looked like I didn't. Do I need to make a payment? And they said, no, you don't. So that was my confusing bill. 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 And then another one that people love, OIL. Now, people overthink this one too, just like y'all. Listen, it's not hard. OIL, I'm going to show you what you do. It's all about the shape of your mouth. It's not about the sound. Making the sound is not complicated. People overcomplicate it. All right? I'm going to put my Sharpie down. Okay. Oh. That's it. But I'm going to show you how to make that sound. Okay. I have to show you. It's going to sound different. But watch. Ah. So you go ah like you're at the doctor and they're looking at your throat. Ah. Oh. 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 So it's basically ah. It's like ah. Oh. Or you just do your mouth like that. Oh. 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 Or if you want to say FOIL, it's full. TOIL would be tall. TOILET is toilet. Toilet. I love toilet. I love the way that sounds. Because if you're talking to somebody who's not from where you're from, they just look at you like, what? A toilet. The toilet. The commode. You know. And shitter. The toilet. Toll. So it's oh wow wow. See, I'm not making a different sound. It's just the shape of the mouth. Oh wow wow wow. So it's ah oh toilet. You just bring it back out to make the second half. Toilet. And it becomes toilet. And you just got to practice it a little bit. Oh, full, tall, soul, SOIL is soul, toilet, and stuff like that. So that one is not hard. You just go I and then go oil, olive oil, canola oil, vegetable oil. If you practice, you'll get it. But don't overthink it. It's like some exercises, like I go to this boot camp outdoor exercise class, and I found there are some exercises that if I overthink them, I can't do them. It's weird. But there are some that if I overthink it, I can't do it. And balance is one of them. I have better balance if I just stop thinking about it. So weird. Because we do strength training and balance stuff. We do all kinds of different things. And with balance, if I stop trying to think about it, I can do it better. I can just relax and my balance gets better. Okay. F-A-S-T. Fast. 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 You don't just drag it out. It's fast. That was fast. I can't believe how fast that hour went by. B-Y. By. By. I can't believe how fast it went by. Okay, now this is a very specific one. W-A-S-P. Now, you're probably not going to hear anybody else in the South say it the way I do. And it was very, very specific. In fact, the only people I've ever heard pronounce it this way were people in my dad's family. Now, part of my dad's family did not come from Central North Carolina. They came from down on around South Carolina somewhere. But I'm not exactly sure where. Part of his history is kind of, we don't really know a lot about it. Anyway, W-A-S-P. How do you suppose I'd say that? It's probably not the way you think. Whilst. Whilst. There's a T in there. I don't know why. Whilst. Like W-A-L-L-S-T. Whilst. Whilst. And if it's plural, it's even worse. Whilst is. Whilst is. W-A-S-P space N-E-S-T. Whilst nest. Whilst nest. Nest. Whilst nest. You just drop the T's all together. Whilst nest. And it just kind of runs together. Even to this day, if I were to walk outside and a wasp comes to bother me, I go, dang wasp, go on wasp. I can't call it anything but a wasp. I mean, that's just what I grew up calling it, was a wasp. Bunch of wasps out here today. I realize it's wrong. I have a degree in English and I realize it's wrong, but it's a wasp. Usually it's a danged old wasp. You dang wasp. And if they really bug me, they become a bunch of damn wasps. Okay. So it's wasp, but only if you're in my dad's family. The people I grew up around, I think they called it a wasp. I don't know how they say it. Wasp. They don't say wasp. Maybe they did. I don't remember, honestly. It's not a word you hear people say a whole lot. Okay, the next one is C-O-F-F-E-E. Coffee. 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 Coffee cup. Coffee cup. I've gotten caught up in myself. Okay. M-A-D. Mad. And when I'm really mad, that word gets exaggerated. I'm mad. I'm mad. M-A-Y-A-D. Mad. 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 You're gonna make me mad. I do have a temper. H-A-D would be had. Had. S-A-D would be sad. I'm so sad today. And again, depending on if you're trying to make a point, you may emphasize it. Mad. Had. Sad. I just marked on myself. Bad. The next word is S-H-A-R-P-I-E. Sharpie. 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 Like shark. R. Shar. Like a pirate. Or R. Sharpie. Sharpie. See, I start overthinking the way I talk, and then I'm not even sure anymore. Have you ever pronounced a word to the point where it just doesn't even sound like a word anymore? Okay. M-O-U-S-E. Mouse. It's like mad. M-A-D. Mouse. Mouse. Or H-O-U-S-E. House. House. Oh, one I didn't write down. I should have written this. Why didn't I write this down? There are also pockets of people around where I grew up. If you're saying the word H-O-M-E. Now, I grew up pronouncing it home. 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 So again, it's all about just changing the shape of your mouth. Home. But there are people all around, and there are a lot of people I've noticed around Randolph County, which is just south of here, who say home. Home. And instead of, P-H-O-N-E, I grew up pronouncing it phone. They say phone. Phone home. But I grew up saying phone home. But it's a big difference. And I even heard people saying it that way as a kid and going, that's interesting. She says home. Home. But I say home. Huh. But I would never be like some people in the comment section saying, you say that wrong. No, I just noticed it was an interesting difference. Interesting that they say it that way. Because I can appreciate the fact that we all say things differently. Okay. C-A-R is pronounced car. Car. We just drag out the ah a little bit. So we try to make it 2 syllables, but we don't quite make it. Car. Car. I think it's about there. Car. S-H-O-E is shoe. 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 You don't change the sound, just the shape of the lips. Shoe. 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 I can't even clip it off. Like I'm sitting here trying to say shoe. Shoe. y'all do that? How do you make it one syllable? We don't do a good job at making words one syllable. We even try to take the letter I and turn it into a 2-syllable word. I. That's just what we do. We take words and we stretch them out. We just want them all to run together. That's all. D-A-Y. Day. 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 But don't drag it out. You're just going to sound like you got something wrong with you, like you're having a stroke or something. Day. Have a good day. Or if you're trying to be sarcastic, have a good day. In reality, we're flipping you off in our mind. Bless your heart. Way. R-A-Y. Ray. Day. Ray. Way. No way. N-O. No. And a no is another word that changes depending on the emotion you're trying to convey. You could be flirty. No. Or you could be sarcastic. No. Or you can be really mad. No. 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 But it's got an I sound to it. No. No. Oh, no. I think I already did C-O-R-N, corn. Corn, we did that with the cornmeal. F-I-R-E is fire. Now that one we do add the I sound to, but we don't add it to I-T-E or I-G-H-T. That's it. Light. Fright. Fight. Sprite. But F-I-R-E is fire. That's fire. Watch out for the fire. Only you can prevent forest fires. Now, some people with the word F-O-R-E-S-T will say forest, like in the movie Forrest Gump. But where I grew up, they said forest. Forest. I don't know a soul that said forest. Everybody said forest. There was another word I can't think of, and I think it was in the movie Forrest Gump that I said, yeah, we don't say it like that here. But then again, I realized, everybody says things differently. Doesn't mean you're right. It just means it's different. And if you think about it, all words were made up at some point, along with the pronunciation. So does it really matter? I don't believe it does. Okay, Q-U-I-E-T. Now this is another one that changes from place to place. Q-U-I-E-T. Now where I grew up, it's pronounced quiet. Quiet. But in other places, that would also be how you pronounce Q-U-I-T-E. Quiet. Which admittedly, yeah, it sounds the same. Whether I'm saying Q-U-I-E-T or Q-U-I-T-E, it's quiet. No, it's not. No, it's not. Hang on. Q-U-I-T-E would be quite. Quite. That is quite a conundrum. But up where my dad lives, those two words would sound the same. Quiet and quiet. But Q-U-I-T-E down here would be quite. That's quite. That's quite a coincidence. Quite and quiet. Quiet. Why is she so quiet? I can't stand it when people ask me why I'm so quiet. I don't go around asking people why they talk so much, because that'd be rude. Why are you so quiet? Well, they ought to be glad I'm quiet. Let them talk. T-A-L-K. T-A-L-K is talk. Talk. Okay. F-U-E-L. Fuel. Fuel. It's like F-Y-O-O. Fuel. And the L is just a W. Fuel. 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 Diesel. Fuel. Diesel. Fuel. Diesel. Diesel. Fuel. C-O-L-D. I was cold. It sounds like there's a W in there because there's a L. Because where I grew up, L's frequently become W's when we pronounce them, like building, fill, F-I-L-L, fill, fuel, cold, cold, cold. Cold. And I have one left. S-O. So. It's kind of like N-O. So. And that's going to sound just like S-E-W. But I think that would be true for most people. So. And the word people. 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 You don't pronounce the L the way other people would. People. People. And so. So. And so is another word that can change depending on the emotion behind the sentence. You know, if you're trying to get around to something with somebody, you might go, so. So. Yeah. So that is my list of words, and now I'm starting to get irritated by my own voice. The sound of my own voice is getting on my nerves. So it's probably time to go. I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching. I am really glad that you're here. And I hope that you enjoyed this weird little video. And I will see you again really soon.